coin review and value. Today, we explore the fascinating story behind the 1945 UK 1 penny, a humble coin with a tale tied deeply to British. The 1945 British penny holds more than just its face value. It represents an era of resilience, sacrifice, and economic transformation during the final year of World War II. So sit back as we take you on a journey through the rich historical backdrop, striking design, production nuances, and collector intrigue that surrounds this iconic coin. In 1945, the United Kingdom was emerging from the shadows of World War II. The economy was strained, rationing was still in place, and the nation's coinage reflected wartime austerity. Coin production during the war was minimized to prioritize material, including the penny. Continued limited production for practical use. The 1945 penny was minted primarily to meet the needs of circulation, particularly in the British colonies, where the penny was an essential unit of currency. Britain's minting facilities, such as the Royal Mint in London, had adapted to wartime constraints. Skilled labor shortages, metal scarcity, and bombings had made even basic coin production a challenge. The 1945 penny is thus part of the wartime coinage class. Coins produced under difficult circumstances, often with subtle differences compared to their pre-war versions. Interestingly, many 1945 pennies never actually circulated within the UK. Instead, they were shipped to far-flung corners of the British Empire, especially in Africa and Asia. This distribution pattern makes the 1945 penny common in some regions and rare in others, adding a layer of complexity to its collector appeal. The obverse of the 1945 UK penny features a familiar face, King George VI, father of Queen Elizabeth II. His left-facing profile is dignified and stoic, suited for a wartime monarch. The portrait was designed by Thomas Humphrey Paget, a renowned British medalist whose initials HP often appear on the king's neck or base of the bust. The legend around the portrait reads, George's VID, G.B.R. OMN, Rex, F colon D colon I and D colon imp, abbreviated Latin for George VI, by the grace of God, King of all the Britons, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India. The reverse showcases the seated figure of Britannia, holding a trident and shield. A classic is flanked by the denomination, 1 penny, and the date 1945 below. The background features waves, symbolizing the UK's naval power. The artistry is both patriotic and serene, coin meant to instill stability and confidence during uncertain times. The 1945 penny was struck in bronze, composed of 95.5% copper, 3% tin, and 1.5% zinc, a standard alloy used since the early 20th century. This alloy gave the coin its distinctive reddish-brown tone, which could darken with age and handling. While the 1945 penny doesn't have major, known die varieties like some U.S. coins, a few subtle differences in strike sharpness and die alignment can be found. Some coins exhibit minor die cracks or doubling on the lettering, which, although not intentional, can raise a coin's value. There are also rumors of a 1945 mule penny, where the obverse and reverse dies were mismatched, but no authenticated examples have surfaced. One of the most intriguing varieties is the lustrous mint red 1945 penny, which retains much of its original color and shine, a sign of limited handling and superior preservation. Coins with minimal wear, full facial details on King George VI, and clean fields are highly sought after, especially those graded by PCGS or NGC. Most circulated 1945 UK pennies today are valued modestly, ranging between $1 and $5 USD depending on wear and patina. However, high-grade examples, especially those in mint state, MS63 Plus, can fetch between $100 to $500 USD, depending on eye appeal. Exceptional specimens with full red color or proof-like fields have sold for upwards of $1,000, especially when slabbed and certified. What truly elevates a 1945 penny's value is provenance and rarity in condition. Coins that remained uncirculated in colonial bank hoards or estate collections are particularly desirable. As time demand higher for serious British coin collectors, it's also worth noting that complete date runs of King George VI pennies, including the 1945 issue, are frequently pursued by numismatists building sets. This ensures that the 1945 penny maintains its importance, even if it's not the rarest of the series. When collecting the 1945 penny, pay close attention to luster, rim integrity, and detail sharpness, especially in Britannia's trident and shield. Avoid coins with heavy corrosion or verdigris, as bronze is especially prone to environmental damage. Try to acquire certified examples if you're investing, as third-party grading adds legitimacy and resale value. Attend coin fairs, auctions, or connect with British coin dealers to find the best specimens. Keep a magnifier handy and examine lettering for anomalies. Small details can lead to big discoveries. The 1945 UK penny is more than just a bronze disc. It's a symbol of British resilience, wartime sacrifice, and global reach. It bridges the past and present, connecting collectors with a powerful chapter in world history. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a beginner, this penny is a great entry point into British coin collecting. Its accessibility, historical richness, and potential for value appreciation make it a worthy addition to any collection. So next time you come across an old UK penny, take a closer look. You might just be holding a tiny piece of history. Thanks for watching The Coin World. Dives into the fascinating world of rare and did you know certain 1982 nickels can be worth thousands? Before we dive into the value, let's step back in time to understand the origins of the Jefferson nickel itself. Introduced in 1938, it replaced the Buffalo nickel, a beautiful but notoriously difficult coin to strike. The Jefferson nickel was designed by Felix Schlag, whose portrait of Thomas Jefferson was selected in a national design competition. His image of Jefferson remained on the obverse of the nickel for more than 6 decades. The reverse of the coin, featuring Monticello Jefferson's iconic home, also remained a fixture, although it underwent minor adjustments over the years. Fast forward to 1982. This year was a transitional period for the U.S. Mint, and not just for nickels. In fact, across several denominations. For the penny in 1982, the U.S. Mint switched from 95% copper to a zinc core with copper plating. But what about the 5-cent coin? It retained its composition 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy, but changes in die quality and minting precision made some 1982 nickels particularly interesting. The 1982 nickel was minted at 2 facilities, Philadelphia no mint mark, and Denver marked with a D. Both produced circulation and uncirculated coins. Total mintage was massive, over 1.1 billion combined between both mints. But rarity is not always about quantity. It's about quality and mistakes. This year, die wear and misalignments led to some notable mint errors. Double dies or weak strikes due to worn dies. One of the most sought after errors is the 198-D nickel with full steps on Monticello. The full steps detail indicates a well-struck reverse and is considered a sign of high quality. Full steps coins are graded highly by collectors and can fetch prices far exceeding their face value, often hundreds of dollars, sometimes even thousands in high grades. The presence of full steps is crucial in grading Jefferson nickels. These steps, ideally 5 or 6 distinct lines, can only be seen on coins with sharp strikes. The Denver Mint struggled with sharp details in the early 80s, making full steps on 198-D nickels especially rare. Philadelphia Mint coins also face grading scrutiny. Since Philadelphia coins had no mint mark until 1980, 1982 was only the 3rd year they carried the P mark on nickels. Interestingly, the 1982 P nickel with full steps is slightly more common than its Denver counterpart, but still commands impressive prices. Another area of interest is double die obverse DD and reverse DDR errors. These occur when the coin is struck with a die that had been impressed more than once, slightly misaligned. While not officially listed for 1982 Jefferson nickels, some collectors report possible DDO varieties on the date and lettering. Off-center errors, where the design is struck away from the center of the coin, are also collected, especially when the date is visible. These are more aesthetic and vary in value. Another collectible error is the clipped planchette, where part of the coin is missing due to a misfeed in the blanking press. Coins with planchette cracks or lamination flaws are also found occasionally in the 1982 run, especially in lower quality rolls. Grading plays a significant role in valuation. A 1982 nickel in mint state, 65 condition with full steps can sell from $100 to over $1,000. NIS 67 full steps coins, certified by NGC or PCGS, are among the most valuable examples. They are incredibly rare, with only a few known for each mint. Proof. Versions of the 1982 nickel were not made, as no official proof sets were issued that year. This boosts demand for high-grade business strikes. Let's not forget coin rolls and mint sets. Original bankrupt. Rolls from 1982 are prime hunting grounds for error and full-step coins. So how do you tell if your 1982 nickel is valuable? First, examine it under a 10x magnifier. Look for full steps, sharp details, and any doubling in the lettering. Use a scale to ensure weight is correct. 1982 nickels should weigh about 5 grams. Any major deviation might indicate a minting anomaly. Check for signs of damage. Versus even if the coin looks unusual. Collectors seek raw examples for albums, but graded examples in slabs are the gold standard. For serious investment, auction sites like Heritage Auctions or eBay can show recent sale prices, helping gauge your coin's market value. Some standout sales include a 1982D nickel graded MS67FS that sold for over $1,500 due to its immaculate strike and rarity. In comparison, a worn 1982 nickel from pocket change is usually worth face value unless it hides a key error or sharp strike. Coin shows and numismatic clubs often have collectors searching for elusive full-step varieties of common dates like 1982. The Jefferson nickel series, though often overlooked, has grown in popularity due to the full steps, designation and affordability of most dates. For budget collectors, assembling a full run of Jefferson nickels including 1982 is a rewarding challenge. For advanced collectors, focusing on high-grade, full-step varieties adds depth and long-term value too. Their sets. The legacy of the 1982 Liberty 5-cent coin ties into a broader story of American coinage evolution from design shifts to technological improvements. Welcome back to the coin world, where history meets value in every coin. Today, we're diving deep into the story of a truly fascinating modern release, the 2022 Liberty Quarter Dollar, a commemorative masterpiece minted under the American Women Quarters program. The 2022 Liberty Quarter is not just another coin. It belongs to the American Women Women in American History, authorized by Public Law 116330. In 2021, the program mandated the release of up to 5 different quarter designs each year from 2022 to 2025. These quarters are historic because it's the first time a series of U.S. coins has been solely dedicated to honoring women from diverse backgrounds and fields of contribution. The obverse of all 2022 quarters features a right-facing portrait of George Washington, distinct from the traditional left-facing profile. This updated obverse design was originally created by renowned sculptor Laura Garden Fraser in 1932, but was passed over for the now familiar John Flanagan design. Fraser's rendition finally got its moment to shine in the 2022 commemorative series, paying tribute not only to American women featured on the reverses but also to Fraser herself. Each of the 5 quarters released in 2022 showcases a different American woman on the reverse, with each design being unique and rich in symbolism. The first quarter features Maya Angelou, the acclaimed writer, poet, and civil rights activist. The second honors Dr. Sally Ride, America's first woman astronaut to travel to space. The third commemorates Wilma Mankiller, the first woman elected principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. The fourth celebrates Nina Otero Warren, a key figure in New Mexico's suffrage movement. And finally, the fifth honors Anna May Wong, the first Chinese-American Hollywood movie star. Each reverse was carefully crafted by U.S. Mint artists and sculptors, with input from historians, community leaders, and the honorees' families when possible. The Maya Angelou quarter portrays her with uplifted arms, inspired by her poetry and symbolic of her spirit and legacy. Behind her is a rising sun and a bird in flight, a direct nod to her memoir, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Dr. Sally Ride's quarter shows her next to a window on the space shuttle, symbolizing her view of Earth from space and her pioneering spirit. Wilma Mankiller's quarter includes the Cherokee syllabary and a 7-pointed star, representing Cherokee sovereignty and unity. Nina Otero Warren's quarter includes imagery from the New Mexico landscape and the words, Voto para la mujer, vote for women, in Spanish. Anna May Wong's quarter is striking for its close-up portrait, evoking her iconic Hollywood glamour, with marquee lights framing her face. These commemorative Quarters were minted at all three major U.S. mints, Philadelphia P, Denver D, and San Francisco S. The circulation strikes came from Philadelphia and Denver, while San Francisco handled proof and silver-proof coins. The proof versions were particularly popular among collectors due to their sharp were minted using 99 and intrinsic value. Mintages varied but remained in the tens of millions for circulation issues and in the hundreds of thousands. 22. Liberty quarters are worth face value, 25 cents. However, uncirculated examples, especially from rolls and mint sets, fetch a premium. Proof quarters can sell for $15 to $25 each depending on the honorary and current silver prices. High-grade examples graded by PCGS or NGC can bring even more, especially those graded MS70 or PR70. Complete sets of 2022 American Women quarters in proof or silver condition are hot sellers on the secondary market. As with any new coin release, collectors are on the lookout for minting errors and varieties. Some coins have been found with off-center strikes, die cracks, or doubling on the reverse features. These errors can significantly raise a coin's value, sometimes into the hundreds of dollars. For example, a die clash or doubled die on the Maya Angelou quarter could be worth upwards of $250 in top condition. Always inspect 2022 quarters under magnification and compare them with inclusion and representation. Deep historical and cultural significance. These coins educate the public about forgotten or education. You may also want to collect both clad and silver versions of each design. While modern coins often need time to mature in value, the 2022 series has unique appeal. Limited silver mintages and early errors can drive long-term collector demand. If kept in pristine condition, these coins could become sought-after pieces decades from now. Public interest in the historical figures featured on these coins is also likely to grow. So holding onto these quarters might not just be a hobby, it could be an investment. The 2022 Liberty Quarter Dollar Commemorative Series is more than a minting initiative. It is a storytelling platform that celebrates American values, struggles, and triumphs. Each coins. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to the Coins World. Welcome back to the Coin World, old coin review and value. Today's episode dives into the intriguing story behind the 1967 Liberty 5-cent coin, a piece that might seem ordinary at first. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a curious beginner, understanding coins like the 1967 Liberty nickel can give you an edge in the world of numismatics. These small pieces of metal are windows into the economic, political, and cultural atmosphere of their times. Let's take a journey through time and detail the history, production, rare varieties, and market values associated with this iconic piece of American currency. The 5-cent coin, more commonly known as the nickel, has a rich history that dates back to the post-Civil War era. But the version we know today, the Jefferson nickel, was introduced in 1938. By 1967, the Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for nearly 3 decades. It replaced the earlier Buffalo nickel, which ran from 1913 to 1938. The year 1967 was a turbulent time in American history. The Vietnam War was in full swing, civil rights protests were rising, and inflation was beginning to impact the U.S. economy. These political and social pressures had a direct impact on coin production. The U.S. Mint was facing criticism for coin shortages and hoarding by collectors, which affected how coins were minted during the mid-1960s. One of the most notable changes was the temporary suspension of mint marks from 1965 through 1967. This was an effort to discourage hoarding and help coins circulate more freely. As a result, the 1967 5-cent coin lacks any mint mark, making it harder to determine which mint facility produced a particular coin. Though it may seem like a minor design tweak, this decision deeply influenced the way collectors view and categorize coins from this period. The 1967 Liberty 5-cent coin features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States. On the obverse side, this design was created by sculptor Felix Schlag, whose vision was selected through a public design competition held in 1938. Jefferson's portrait is clean and stoic, paired with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." With the date 1967, the reverse showcases Monticello, Jefferson's historic estate in Virginia. It's a detailed, classical architectural rendering, symbolizing Jefferson's legacy. The reverse also includes the words "E pluribus unum," United States of America, and the denomination 5 cents. In terms of composition, the 1967 nickel consists of 75% copper and 25% nickel, an alloy known for its durability and resistance to corrosion. This composition has remained consistent for decades, although wartime versions during World War II used silver to preserve nickel for military use. The 1967 Jefferson nickel was produced in massive quantities. To meet public demand and prevent coin shortages, the Philadelphia Mint handled the entire production for 1967. Differences in strike quality, die variety, and preservation state create significant gaps in value between common examples and rare collector pieces. Let's take a look at those rarities and errors that can elevate a seemingly average 1967 nickel into a coin worth thousands. The most valuable 1967 nickels are those with mint errors, intentional yet intriguing mistakes during the minting process. One rare error is the off-center strike, where the coin design is not aligned correctly with the blank planchet, resulting in a skewed image. Another is the double die obverse DDO, where slight duplication occurs in the date or letters due to misalignment in the die hubbing process. Clipped blankets are also sought after. These occur when a piece of the blank is missing due to a misfeed during cutting. A full steps designation on the reverse Monticello image showing sharply struck stair steps can significantly boost value, especially in mint state condition. High grade examples with full steps have been known to fetch hundreds to even thousands of nickels under magnification to identify such features, as they often go unnoticed in casual handling. Like all coins, the value of the 1967 Liberty 5 cent depends heavily on its grade. A standardized measure of wear and condition. Coins are typically graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with MS65 and higher mint state, representing coins with no visible wear. Circulated 1967 nickel might only be worth face value, but a gem uncirculated piece with full steps could be worth. Collectors often send their coins to professional grading services like PCGS or NGC to authenticate and certify their value. These certifications help coins sell at a G7. Liberty nickel is a staple for Jefferson nickel set collectors, especially those building year-by-year collections. Because of the no mint mark policy, it holds a unique spot in the Jefferson series and is often discussed in educational numismatic circles. While it may not seem ultra-rare, its condition-sensitive value and potential for errors make it a smart coin to examine carefully. For long-term investors, holding onto high-grade examples can prove lucrative as the market matures and interest in mid-century coins grows. Did you know that the Jefferson nickel is one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history? It stayed nearly unchanged for over 65 years, until a redesign in 2006. The 1967 nickel, minted during the Summer of Love, is part of a broader cultural movement. Coins from this era are like tiny time capsules. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe to the Coin World. Today, we're diving into the rich history of a small yet significant coin, the 1975 Liberty 1 cent, also known as the 1975 Lincoln penny. You might be surprised to learn how much history, craftsmanship, and value can be packed into this tiny piece of copper. Stick with us as we unravel the fascinating story of this iconic coin and why some collectors are willing to pay thousands for rare variants. The Lincoln cent was first minted in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, breaking the tradition of using allegorical figures like Liberty. Brenner's design became a cultural milestone, honoring one of the most revered U.S. presidents. By 1975, the Lincoln cent had already undergone multiple design and compositional changes. Initially minted in 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the coin kept its copper composition through 1975, before changes started taking effect due to rising copper prices. The reverse, featuring the Lincoln Memorial, was introduced in 1959 to mark Lincoln's 150th birthday and stayed through 2008. Obverse, Lincoln's profile facing right, "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1975. To the right. Reverse. Lincoln Memorial in the center. United States of America above, 1 cent below. And E pluribus unum. Above the memorial. The designer's initials VDB appear on the lower right side of the memorial. Base and homage to Brenner's original signature. The 1975 Lincoln cent was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark. Denver Mint, marked with a D, San Francisco Mint, proof coins only, marked with an S. Over 5.4 billion were struck in Philadelphia, 4.5 billion in Denver, and around 2.8 million proofs in San Francisco. Metal content: 95% copper, 5% zinc. Weight: 3.11 grams. Diameter: 19 millimeters. Edge: plain. These specifications remained constant until 1982, when the penny transitioned to a zinc core with the copper plating for the exciting part-error coins. Some 1975 pennies are worth hundreds or even thousands due to rare minting errors, double dia versus DDO, slight doubling of letters, especially Liberty and In God We Trust, off-center strikes, coins where part of the design is missing due to misalignment, B error, a die crack between the B and E in Liberty that looks like the letter I, clipped blankets, a curved or straight chunk missing from the edge. These varieties are sought after by collectors and can dramatically increase the coin's value. The 1975s proof Lincoln cents were minted in San Francisco and have mirror-like finish. High-grade proofs graded PR69 DCAM or PR70 DCAM can be worth $20 to $200 plus, depending on demand and condition. In 1975, the United States was grappling with a major economic downturn known as stagflation. The U.S. meant to consider alternatives to the traditional bronze penny, although changes to the composition didn't happen until 1982. The seeds of concern were clearly planted during this era. Copper shortages and coinage concerns. Due to high inflation, especially in metal commodities, the cost to produce a penny was nearing and sometimes exceeding its value. Copper, being a major industrial metal, was in high demand. By the mid-1970s, the mint was already experimenting with aluminum and other alloys to potentially replace the standard copper-based blankets, although these experimental pieces were never released for circulation. Political influence on coinage. During Gerald Ford's presidency, there were increased discussions about governmental cost-saving measures and clung in the minting department. Political and public resistance to removing Lincoln or changing the penny's design stalled any dramatic alterations. The Lincoln cent had, by then, become a symbol of national pride and stability amid turbulent political times. Continuation of the memorial reverse. The 1975 penny still bore the Lincoln Memorial reverse, which had been introduced in 1959 for Lincoln's 150th birthday. This, designed by Frank Gasparo, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint, was praised for its symbolic elegance. If you look closely, you can see Lincoln's statue inside the memorial, making it the only U.S. coin to feature the same person on both sides. Proof coins and San Francisco's role. Although most circulation pennies came from Philadelphia and Denver, the San Francisco Mint took on the specialized role of producing high-quality proof coins. In 1975, proof coins were not only for collectors, but also served as testing grounds for new die techniques and finish, marking a period of innovation within the mint. Legacy of Victor D. Brenner. Victor David Brenner, the original designer of the Lincoln penny, was a Lithuanian-born sculptor who became a U.S. citizen. His initials, VDB, which appear subtly on the 1975 penny's reverse, have a rich backstory. In 1909, the initials were initially too prominent, causing public backlash, and were removed. They were later restored in 1918, discreetly placed on the Lincoln Memorial design. Cultural significance of the penny in the 1970s. In the mid-1970s, the penny remained a staple in daily transactions. Vending machines, payphones, and public transportation systems all relied on coin-based payments. Despite its small denomination, the penny held cultural value used in idioms, superstitions, find a penny, pick it up, and even school lessons. Numismatic interest and penny hoarding. Collectors and average citizens alike began hoarding pre-1900. Just another coin, but a significant piece of American history. Closing the chapter on the beloved wheat penny seer depict a real bust, while the reverse displayed to stylized wheat ears symbolizing agricultural abundance and national prosperity. The 1958 version retained was that it marked the last issue of the wheat designed before transitioning to the Lincoln Memorial reverse. In 1959, despite the high mintage, the 1958 penny remains popular because of its symbolic importance as the final wheat penny and the last of a historic 50-year run. Numismatists consider 1958 a transitional year. As with many transitional years, some rare varieties and mint errors emerged, making the 1958 penny more valuable to collectors than you might expect. One of the rarest known errors is the 1958 double die obverse DDO penny. This error shows prominent doubling on the date and lettering like Liberty and In God We Trust. Only 3 confirmed examples of the 1958 DDO exist, making it one of the rarest and most valuable Lincoln-1 varieties in the entire series. In fact, a 1958 double die penny sold for over $1 million at auction, shocking collectors and making headlines in the coin community. This doubling is believed to have occurred due to a flaw in the die-making process, where a single die received misaligned impressions during hubbing. Most 1958 pennies you find will be regular strike coins without errors, but condition still plays a big role in value. In circulated condition, 1958 pennies are worth just a few cents, maybe $1 or $2, but in mint state, especially MS65 or higher, they can fetch $10 to $50, depending on the grade and mint mark. Red designation, which refers to the coin's bright copper appearance, is the most desired in uncirculated condition. Red examples in MS67 can reach values above $150. Many collectors also search for proof like strikes, die cracks, and off-center errors from this year, though they're not as valuable as the DDO. The Denver minted 1958D penny is far more common than the Philadelphia version due to its massive mintage numbers. In the context of the series, the 1958 penny closes out a 50-year legacy that began in the progressive era and survived. The 1958 penny reminds us how U.S. coins reflect broader historical and cultural shifts, from honoring past presidents to symbolizing national growth. Collecting 1958 pennies can also be a gateway to assembling a complete set of Lincoln wheat cents from 1909 to 1958, including key dates like 1909 SVDB, 191 for D, and 1931. Some collectors focus on creating complete sets by mint mark and color designation, red, red-brown, and brown, with 1958 as the closing chapter. Interestingly, 1958 was also the year the U.S. prepared for significant changes in coinage composition. The 1960s would bring rising metal costs and new minting innovations. The 1958 penny continues to appear in old jars, bank rolls, and estate finds, a quiet relic of mid-century America. Its copper content alone makes it more valuable than a modern zinc penny. Pre-1982 cents, including the 1958, contain 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Teachers and parents often use the 1958 penny in educational settings to teach students about history, economics, and even metallurgy. The 1958 penny has also become a favorite in jewelry and crafts, especially among those who appreciate vintage Americana. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a beginner, the 1958 Liberty Lincoln penny is a perfect coin to study, admire, and own, not just for its monetary value, but for its rich legacy. So, next time you spot a 1958 penny in your change, take a closer look. Who knows, it might just be a rare treasure waiting to be discovered. The 1958 Lincoln penny emerged at the tail end of a post-war economic boom in the United States, as the country embraced new technology, suburban growth, and interstate expansion. Coinage like the Lincoln cent remained a symbol of continuity. The wheat reverse, first introduced in 1909, had served the nation for nearly half a century. The decision to replace it in 1959 wasn't taken lightly, as the design had become was to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, leading to the creation of the Lincoln Memorial reverse. While the public largely accepted the change, in 1959, many coin collectors in 1958 were saddened to see the wheat design go, marking the end of what they viewed as a classical and elegant reverse. Prior to 1958, several changes had been proposed to modernize U.S. coinage. The penny was seen as outdated by some, and there were early discussions, even in the 1950s, about phasing out the 1-cent piece. Nevertheless, the Lincoln cent persisted due to its familiarity and deep association with the 16th president, whose leadership during the Civil War remained a strong point of national pride. In 1958, the U.S. Mint was under the direction of William H. Brett, who oversaw coinage production during a time of high economic activity. His focus was on efficiency and maintaining quality during high-volume minting. The Mint in 1958 was still using traditional die engraving techniques, though by the next decade, computer-aided technology would start influencing coin design. Many coin experts believe that the 1958 double die penny may have escaped quality control due to the rush nature of high mintage runs during that year. For years, the 1958 double die obverse was thought not to exist. It wasn't until the 1980s that the first verified specimen appeared, shocking the numismatic world. As of today, only 3 examples of the 1958 DDO are known, all struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and each has sold for over 6 figures at auction. These rare 1958 DDO cents are certified by leading grading companies like PCGs and NGC, often given high premiums due to their scarcity and dramatic doubling. Meanwhile, common 1958 and 1958D cents have become popular starter coins for young collectors due to their availability and affordability in circulated grades. Many baby boomers remember receiving 1958 pennies in their allowance or lunch money, making the coin a nostalgic piece of 1950s Americana. The 1958 Lincoln cents obverse still bore Victor D. Brenner's initials, VDB, which were reinstated in 1918, on the obverse shoulder of Lincoln after being removed from the reverse in 1909. Despite their simplicity, the wheat years on the reverse had rich symbolism representing growth, prosperity, and the American farmer. The penny's continued use into the 21st century has made it a point of debate, but coins like the 1958 wheat penny represent a time when even the smallest denominations carried powerful symbolism. Several collectors have made it a goal to collect all 50 years of wheat pennies, from 1909 to 1958, with the 1958 often serving as the final coin in a display set. One interesting trend has been the rise of roll hunters, people who search through rolls of pennies from banks in hopes of finding pre-1959 wheat pennies, including the elusive 1958 DDO. Because 1958 pennies are made of 95% copper, they've also attracted attention from bullion buyers, especially during spikes in copper prices. In the 1970s and 1980s, copper prices rose to the point that people began hoarding pre-1982 pennies, including 1958 issues, for their melt value even though melting them was illegal. The 1958 Lincoln cent has appeared in multiple books and price guides, including the Red Book, a guidebook of United States coins, where it is listed as the final wheat cent. The coin is also used in educational programs by the American Numismatic Association to teach young collectors about mint marks, grading, and coin preservation. In terms of grading, the 1958 penny is most valuable in MS67 Road Red, where it can command prices from $100 to $300. Depending on the market, its simplicity also makes it a prime candidate for counterfeiting, especially attempts to mimic the rare DDO. Authenticity and third-party certification are key when buying high-value examples. 1958 pennies have also been found in time capsules and buried hoards, often wrapped in original paper bank rolls, marked by now-defunct banks from the 1950s. The 1958 penny has made appearances in pop culture, including TV shows, documentaries, and YouTube channels like this one, where its history is explored in depth. It's also common to see the 1958 penny used in jewelry, belt buckles, and novelty items celebrating 1950s Americana. Ultimately, the 1958 Liberty Lincoln penny stands as more than just a piece of copper. It's a symbol of legacy, transition, and American craftsmanship at a time when the nation was poised for cultural change. So whether you collect for fun, investment, or historical appreciation, the 1958 Lincoln penny is a must-have. Its story is long, rich, and truly timeless. Thank you for watching. To like and subscribe to the Coin World. Welcome back to the Coin World, old coin review and value. In today's episode, we're diving deep into one of the most mysterious and fascinating coins in recent American history, the 1983 Liberty Lincoln penny. This coin, seemingly ordinary, holds secrets that have amazed collectors and numismatists for decades. Let's begin by understanding what makes the 1983 Lincoln penny stand out. At first glance, it's just a coppery 1-cent piece, But the truth lies beneath the surface, literally. It's a coin that symbolizes a turning point in U.S. coinage history. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. It replaced the Indian head, cent, and became the first regular issue U.S. coin to feature a real person. Fast forward to 1983, and the Lincoln penny was in the midst of significant changes that began just 1 year earlier, in 1982. Due to economic pressure and rising metal costs. In 1982, the U.S. Mint changed the composition of the penny from 95% copper to a much cheaper copper-plated zinc. This shift was essential because producing a copper penny cost more than 1 cent. This change led to a mix of coin compositions. During 1982, some were copper, and some were copper-plated zinc, but by 1983, the transition was supposedly complete, and all pennies were to be struck on zinc plankets. But here's where the story gets fascinating. Despite the intended uniformity, rumors and discoveries of a 1983 penny struck on a copper planchet began circulating among collectors. This created a buzz. Was it a mint error? Was it a leftover blank from 1982, mistakenly used in 1983? The mystery was alive. 1983 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams, but copper cents weigh 3.11 grams. Some collectors found 1983 pennies with this heavier weight, confirming a different composition. Such finds are incredibly rare, and if verified by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, these 1983 copper pennies can be worth thousands of dollars, depending on condition. The first verified 1983 copper penny sparked media coverage and collector excitement, turning an otherwise common coin into a legendary rarity. Let's now discuss the design. The obverse features the iconic bust of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials VDB were initially removed but later restored beneath Lincoln's shoulder. The reverse, still showing the Lincoln Memorial in 1983, was designed by Frank Gasparo and remained in use until 2008. The inscriptions Liberty and the date 1983 are on the obverse, along with the mint mark, usually a D for Denver or no mark for Philadelphia. Most 1983 pennies were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and their mint marks, or lack thereof, are crucial in identifying potential rarities. The mint produced over 14 billion Lincoln pennies in 1983, making it seem like one of the most common coins. But as we know, even among billions, there are treasures to be found. One of the most exciting varieties is the 1983 double die reverse DDR, which shows strong doubling on the reverse inscriptions, particularly 1 cent and United States of America. These DDR varieties are highly sought after and can command prices of hundreds or even thousands depending on grade and clarity of doubling. It's worth noting that this DDR is quite distinct and visible without magnification, which has helped its popularity soar in collector circles. Now let's go back to the mysterious copper 1983 pennies. Experts believe a few copper plankets from 1982 were accidentally left in the hoppers and struck in 1983. Such mistakes, while rare. Welcome back to the coin world, old coin review and value. Today, we explore the fascinating story behind the 1945 UK 1 penny, a humble coin with a tale tied deeply to British wartime history, often overlooked by casual collectors. The 1945 British penny holds more than just its face value. It represents an era of resilience, sacrifice, and economic transformation during the final year of World War II. So sit back as we take you on a journey through the rich historical backdrop, striking design, production nuances, and collector intrigue that surrounds this iconic coin. In 1945, the United Kingdom was emerging from the shadows of World War II. The economy was strained. Rationing was still in place,